Coming up on today's edition of Newsbeat, devastation, destruction, and now recovery in Nepal, what the United States is doing to help in relief efforts.
Plus, a horrifying and deadly crash on the south side. Coming up, you'll hear from a woman who watched it all unfold.
And the NFL is invading Grant Park. We'll have all the details on traffic delays. Newsbeat starts right now.
Good morning. Today is April 28th, 2015. I'm Natalie Cardona.
And I'm Raquel Harris. Thank you for joining us. We begin with breaking news this morning out of Baltimore.
Rioting in the city is moving into its second day as police try to regain control. Here you can see that there was a lot of unrest last night in Baltimore. For the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of, mayhem and people on the streets throwing scenes, many police.
And many students have gotten the upper hand. As you can see, police are taking over the streets and they are bombarding them. Baltimore has been going through a lot lately. Also, as you can see in this picture, CVS has been bombed, and that's an aerial view of the area. Students everywhere are taking on gas masks and pretty much fighting back with the police. It's been a horrific time for the students, and it's gone on for more than 24 hours thus far.
And including all the mayhem, there is a lot of looting going on, and it seems that the police are having a little bit of a struggle to get control back. And here you can see a fire. A lot of that is, vehicle fires as well. There was 150 reported vehicle fires as of last night. Here you can see an aerial view of all the mayhem. And moving on from that, many saw, firefighters and all of that. It's crazy out there. A mandatory curfew begins tonight for Baltimore residents. From 10 p.m. tonight until 5 a.m., non-essential officials must be off the streets. We'll keep you posted as the story develops. Now, on to our other top story. A big push from the White House to raise awareness about sexual assault on college campuses. Vice President Joe Biden is leading the charge.
First stop on a nationwide tour, Chicago. Biden delivered a powerful message during a rally at the University of Illinois campus. Newsbeat's Liz DeLue went to the UIC campus. She's back and has the latest on the story. Liz?
Thanks, guys. The campaign is called It's On Us. Vice President Joe Biden challenged the men at UIC to step up and take the lead when it comes to stopping sexual assault on campus. Vice President Joe Biden is bringing awareness to college campuses all over the nation. The goal, to end sexual assault.
Until we make a pariah of all those on this campus and every other campus in America who believe they have a right to ever say she asked for it, we're not going to make the progress we have to make.
The president and vice president launched the campaign in September of last year. An estimated of 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted during their college years. That's 1 in 5. Only 12% of those assaults are reported, and only a fraction of the offenders are punished. The campaign's 4 key points of awareness are to recognize, identify, intervene, and create. But when I went to campus to hear the students' thoughts on the campaign, I learned an unfortunate lack of awareness. Have you heard about the It's On Us campaign?
No.
No, I've never heard about it.
Highlighting the chilling reality of just how many people are affected.
More awareness would be nice, I guess.
Yeah.
More around campus of maybe flyers.
They should be doing something to be more proactive, other than like after something happens and then it's in the news and then everybody thinks something bad was school.
The pledge is a personal commitment, a promise to not be a bystander, and to be part of the solution.
You never know what can happen. You never know the actions of other people. So, I think it's actually really important to raise awareness on that subject.
Hopefully Biden's college-wide campus tour brings the awareness that this campaign needs. You can take the pledge and find out more information at itsonus.org. Reporting live on Michigan Ave, I'm Liz DeLue. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Liz. The death toll continues to rise in Nepal after a devastating earthquake over the weekend. Nepal and surrounding countries continue to experience severe aftershocks, some up to 6.8 in magnitude. Thousands spent a third night outside in fear of returning to their houses or what's left of them. 3 Chicagoans were in Nepal when the quake hit. Marissa Eve Girawang was killed by an avalanche triggered by the earthquake. She studied at Malcolm X College. Christopher Mundy and Dean Tatools made it home safe after the quake.
A 7.8 magnitude quake struck 50 miles from Kathmandu, killing 4,000 and injuring over 7,000. This is the worst quake to hit Nepal in over 80 years, but it was felt as far as India and China. Thousands of homes and businesses are destroyed following Saturday's quake. The search for the missing continues as 90% of Nepal's army and volunteers scramble to find survivors buried in the wreckage. Hospitals are overwhelmed, and staff have moved the injured outside in fear of aftershocks. Quake survivors have also taken to the streets in search of safety and supplies. Centuries-old temples and monuments are reduced to rubble. An Australian ABC reporter shares her account of the quake.
It was extremely violent. People started screaming and running in all directions. It was a very built-up area, so there weren't many options in terms of safe harbour for people to go to. And before my eyes, several of the individual temples in that temple complex started collapsing. It was a really disturbing, traumatising scene.
Rescuers now focus on victims in surrounding mountain villages.
The UN says 8 million people were affected by the quake. Water, food, and electricity are scarce. The United States announced Monday it will send $9 million in relief aid. If you would like to support the relief efforts, here are 3 local locations where you can drop off donations. So grab a pen and jot it down or take a picture with your cell phone. They are not looking for food, clothes, or other goods like that. They are accepting monetary donations only.
A speeding driver strikes and kills a pedestrian walking on the city's south side. It happened at the intersection of 87th and Lafayette in the Chatham neighborhood. Police say the victim was crossing the street when a vehicle sped off of Dan Ryan. The impact of the crash launched the woman onto the hood and through the windshield of the car. An eyewitness who declined to be on camera describes what she saw.
Because the light had already changed, giving them the okay to go. And when they stepped into the street, he instantly, in a millimeter of a second, stepped back, and then you just heard her. And when you look, you can see her. And then she ended up right here by the entrance of the expressway.
The 23-year-old driver of the car and his 24-year-old passenger were injured. They both remain hospitalized in stable condition. Police say they do not believe drugs or alcohol played a role in the crash. Instead, police say the speed was likely a factor. Citations against the driver is expected.
Chicago gun violence is a growing issue in the city, and this weekend was no different. 4 people were killed and 22 others were wounded as violence erupted across the city. Among those wounded were 2 teen boys in the Humboldt Park neighborhood. One boy was shot in the buttocks and the other was shot in the leg. Both boys were taken to Stroger Hospital and listed in stable condition. The most recent shooting occurred in the East Garfield Park neighborhood, where police found 20-year-old Tim Triplett unresponsive. Triplett suffered multiple gunshot wounds and was later pronounced dead at an area hospital. Homicides are up 20% from last year. There have been 110 murders reported so far. Police have no leads in this case, and there has been no suspects caught this weekend.
It looks like something straight out from a movie set. Police tape and falling debris surround an entire downtown city block. Officials say large chunks of brick fell from the top of a building in the 200 block of South State Street. Commuters were advised to expect delays up to 1 hour while entering the loop. There are no reports of injury to anyone.
Chicago is a sports hub with both the Bulls and the Hawks in the playoffs. Now, add a little football to the mix.
The NFL draft is being held right here in Chicago. Newsbeat's Eddie Diaz has the latest on the NFL draft buzz. He's live on Michigan Avenue with more. Eddie?
Thanks, guys. The NFL draft is set to begin here Thursday, and it will completely take over the downtown South Loop area. Now, if you look behind me, you can see the construction of Draft Town, as well as the ESPN Monday Night Football truck gearing up to cover the draft. Now, Draft Town is a free event that offers fans a variety of interactive activities. There's going to be live music, food, games, free player autographs, photo ops, as well as several different areas where fans can view the draft live from Grant Park as it happens. Now, it's not going to be all fun and games this weekend, as there will be several streets closing down in anticipation of the draft. Now, some of the more important closures that you want to be aware of is Michigan Avenue, northbound and southbound between Congress and Van Buren, Congress between Michigan and Columbus, including the Congress Circle, and Congress between Michigan and State. Now, for the full list of streets that are going to be shutting down this weekend, you can hop on Google and search NFL Draft Street Closures. I'm Eddie Diaz reporting live from Michigan Avenue, where it is NFL crazy. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thank you, Eddie. Well, Lollapalooza is not just about the music. Apparently, there's a huge drug and alcohol problem. That's according to Chicago health officials. A study by Lurie Children's Hospital shows teenagers often binge at the 3-day event. Just last year, nearly 90 teens had blood alcohol levels 4 times the legal limit. Now, health officials are hoping to raise awareness among parents and healthcare providers.
Coming up next on Newsbeat, big changes coming to your local fast food restaurant. See who and why. A man is in custody for the beating death of an Indiana student. What the suspect left behind that led police to him.
Angelina Jolie's shocking accusation against the United Nations and the deaths in Syria.
A 49-year-old man has been charged with murder in the death of Indiana University student Hannah Wilson. Thousands gather across the 2 emotional vigils at the IU campus in Bloomington to remember Wilson. 22-year-old senior Hannah Wilson's body was found shortly after she was reported missing. Police say she died from several blows to the head. David Missel was arrested after police found his cell phone near her.
Low-level cannabis possession now means no court time and cheaper fines for Illinois residents. Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez announced her office would stop prosecuting these cases for people with fewer than 3 arrests or citations. The measure would not override laws in cities like Chicago who already have fines in place for marijuana possession. It would only apply to people caught with 15 grams or less.
Chipotle has good news for its health-conscious consumers. The restaurant giant plans to stop serving genetically altered food as early as this week. From the tortillas to the salsa, nearly everything served will now be organic. There are 2 expectations. The pork and chicken will still come from animals that eat GMO feed, but the chain has swapped soybean oil from GMO-free sunflower oil and rice bran oil. That means that all condiments and ingredients will be organic.
Angelina Jolie called out the United Nations on their lack of action in Syria. In a meeting at the UN headquarters, Jolie applauded the organization's global efforts in other countries, but not the efforts in Syria.
Any one of the Syrians I have met would speak more eloquently about the conflict than I ever could. Nearly 4 million Syrian refugees are victims of a conflict they have no part in. Yet they are stigmatized, unwanted, and regarded as a burden.
Jolie accused the UN of standing by as injustice occurs across the embattled country. She also urged UN officials to visit Syrian refugee camps to help them better understand the crisis.
One of the first joint ventures between the United States and Cuba is being headed by none other than the NBA. Some of basketball's biggest stars, such as Steve Nash and Diyembe Kemuto, are opening a 4-day training camp on the island. The initiative aims to bring basketball back to Cuba. Basketball slumped in Cuba because of the top players were being recruited to other countries. The NBA is the first professional sports league to visit Cuba since America lifted sanctions against the country. A powerful and moving art exhibit brings a very real Chicago issue to life.
After the break, how Chicagoans are reacting to an emotional art display honoring victims of violence. Then,
it was the announcement everyone was waiting for. Bruce Jenner's secret is out. What he waited 65 years to share with the world next. A Chicago street exhibit is raising awareness on the city's gun control problem. The exhibit honors the young victims lost to gun violence in Chicago. 8 mannequins represent the victims dressed in their clothes. The mannequins remained faceless to focus on the personality of the lost. Name tags were placed on the models and correspond with a mobile app. People can log on and find out more information about the victims. The exhibit will travel around the state to help educate and advocate anti-violence through the arts.
Hopefully, with this new project, we can put an end to all of this violence.
Now, on a lighter note, we have Ashley Smith with our weekly servings of the entertainment tea. Ashley?
Thanks, ladies. In today's edition of The Tea, I have all of the latest celebrity news, from the royal family's newest addition to the new controversial internet craze that is now sweeping the nation. The world's most famous child is now expected to receive a brother or a sister very soon. And to find out the details of the delivery, all you'll need is access to the internet. Prince William and Kate Middleton of the royal family is expected to announce their baby's arrival electronically on the palace's social media feeds. The sex of the baby, the time of the birth, and the weight will be emailed to those covering the story and later posted on the royal family's Instagram and Twitter accounts. From the Cinnamon Challenge to the Ice Bucket Challenge, people everywhere are now trying the latest craze, the Kylie Jenner Lip Challenge. This is where people are inserting their lips into a cup or a shot glass while sucking the air out of the cup as it creates friction around the lips. Attempting this challenge for a few moments creates an artificial plumping of the lips, making them appear very larger. The downfall to this challenge is that the plumping of the lips causes massive swelling that takes weeks to go down. Ladies and gentlemen, please leave this challenge to the pros, aka Kylie Jenner. Speaking of the Jenner clan, the internet was raving over the weekend when former Olympian Bruce Jenner sat down with Diane Sawyer for an exclusive 2-hour interview, Friday revealing his long-held secret to the world. Jenner openly admits in the interview that he is in fact a woman and was genetically born that way. During the interview, he stated that he is not gay, and as far as he knows, he is a heterosexual. What is next for Bruce Jenner, you may ask? Well, E! News has just announced that they will be filming a new documentary series following Jenner's life as a transgender woman. Well, Bruce, folks here at The Tea wish you nothing but the very best. All right, that's all I have for this edition of The Tea. I'm Ashley Smith. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Ashley, for that update. NASA is leaving no stone unturned to find the possibility of life outside of our planet. This experiment will bring together top teams of researchers. The Nexus for Exoplanet System is a study that deals with planets orbiting stars other than the Sun. The study does not only interest astronomers, but climate and planetary scientists as well. And we can finally say goodbye to that wet and frigid weather. This week, we can expect to see a return of sunny skies and higher temps.
Newsbeat's Crystal Brown is here to tell us if the long wait is over. Weather will stick around. Crystal?
Thanks, ladies. We may even be able to break out those spring jackets. Our temps will soar into the upper 60s and maybe even 70. Over the weekend, it was a roller coaster of a ride with rain, cold, and hail. Now we're in for a great warm-up. Let's take a look outside at Buckingham Fountain. As you can see, there is so much sunshine now, and the temps will only improve as the day progresses, which is perfect weather for the construction. No rain or no hail in sight, so very sunny outside. And as we take a look at our current temperatures, it's 60 degrees out, partly cloudy, with winds as high as 9 miles per hour. And tonight, it'll still be pretty warm. It'll be a temperature of 37 degrees, partly cloudy, with wind gusts dropping to about 4 miles per hour. And as we take a closer look at our 5-day, Wednesday we have a high of 61 with a low of 41. Thursday we have a high of 58 with a low of 39. And Friday we have a high of 69 with a low of 48. And Saturday and Sunday, that's when we'll see our biggest warm-up with a high of 72 and lows as low as 53 and 55. So, to answer your questions, lady, I think that the warm weather will last for a while.
I hope so, because I'm definitely tired of the cold.
Me too. I have so many plans for this weekend now, so thanks for that update.
Thank you so much, Crystal. Lots of playoff action over the weekend. We'll have the latest in sports just around the corner. Coming up, the Bulls and the Bucks butted heads yet again in Game 5 of their series. Were the Bulls able to close out the pesky Bucks? Then
the Hawks had a closeout game of their own against the Nashville Predators. Newsbeat's Joe DeAngelis will let you know if they came out on top.
Hi, ladies. Yeah, it's been very exciting, obviously, time for us, but the Hawks and the Bulls appear to be going a little bit of opposite directions right now. The Blackhawks and the Bulls were trying to bounce out their respective first opponents in the first round of their playoff series. The Bulls were looking to close out the Bucks at home during the United Center, so let's get to that Bulls highlight. Derrick Rose getting loose, trying to warm up and get his team that playoff series win. Early in the first quarter, Rose with a nice scoop layup as he cuts through the lane. And then later in the first, Taj Gibson says, "We got a mouse in the house," and he hits the layup there, draws the foul. Strong move there from Taj. Then later, the Bucks would not back down. Michael Carter-Williams finds Chris Middleton in the corner, and he splashes home the three-pointer there. And then Michael Carter-Williams gets a pass on the perimeter. He drives on Derrick Rose and hits the bank shot over him. That would be enough to separate Milwaukee. They win this one 94-88. They don't roll over, and the Game 6 will be in Milwaukee on Thursday. And now let's get right to the action of Game 6 of the Hawks Predators. In the first period here, Patrick Sharp scores a goal off a long rebound there. And Scott Darling had a tough first period. He gave up 3 goals, so in came Corey Crawford. Now right here, Patrick Sharp at the point fires one, and Jonathan Taves redirects that one in. Then later, at the end of the first, Patrick Kane fires one past Pecorine with just seconds left in the first period. That ties it up at 3. And then Duncan Keith has seen enough of the Predators. He unties the game in the third period. That would win the game for the Hawks. They win 4-3, and then they win the series 4-2. The Hawks will now move on to the second round, where they will do battle with the Minnesota Wild. This is the third year in a row that the Hawks will see the Wild in the playoffs, which should make for some really good hockey. Let's take a look at some of the numbers from the season series between these two teams. The Hawks were 3-2 against the Wild in the regular season. However, all their wins came against former goalie Nicklas Backstrom. The Wild's current goalie, Devin Dubnyk, was 2-0 against the Hawks this season, allowing just 1 goal in those 2 games. On the other hand, Corey Crawford got 4 out of those 5 starts, and he was 2-2. The Hawks will have to bring the offense as the Wild rank among the better teams in defense in the league. And now, real quick, the Cubs defeated the Pittsburgh Pirates by a score of 4-0 last night. The White Sox, who are in Baltimore to play the Orioles, were postponed due to safety concerns in the city. And we have a huge day of sports coming up through the weekend. The Kentucky Derby, as well as the long-awaited fight between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, will both take place this weekend. And of course, don't forget about the NFL Draft, which will be starting this Thursday and it'll run through Saturday. That's all we have for sports, ladies, but the excitement is definitely not lacking.
Yeah, I'm definitely rooting for Mayweather. What about you?
I don't know that I have a rooting interest. My rooting interest is to see a good fight.
Okay, definitely.
I agree. I don't know that much about it, but anyways, thanks, Joe.
Okay, thank you, ladies.
That's all the news we have here for today. I'm Natalie Cardona.
And I'm Raquel Harris. Thanks for tuning in to Newsbeat. See you next time.